Welcome back to Kin in Line. This is chapter 58, I make it. I'm out of the army. It's about 1981. It is indeed late 1981. And I'm between jobs after 2 years of military conscription. Here we find ourselves back at Bonsai Bay. This is the Bonsai Bay Lagoon. It's more of a lagoon than a river because it's really open to the sea. And we grew up swimming in this little river, which was probably a lot cleaner back in the 60s. Anyway, there's some people cavorting in the water there back in 81. Quick drawing using a soft pencil on quite nice large textured paper. So I just had to kill a bit of time as I just decided what to do after the army years. So I drew a little still life here in quite big shell resting on a thick book. That book might have been one my great aunt bequeathed to us. Terrible thing on the First World War, the Great War as they called it. And we called her Great One. She was our great aunt. She was my father's foster mother. And she left us these grisly books of photographic records, really, of the First World War. Horrific, really. Anyway, here we have a dog. I'm not sure which way up I drew him, but this was a German Shepherd lying down somewhere in the house. And did a big drawing of him. I think I was a bit lost at this stage. That's a better constructed drawing. And of course, if I'm back at Bonsai Bay, I have to do a shot along the beach at low tide with a reflective surface here. Waves cracking in and the sand dunes on the right there, leading down to Nahoon River mouth and along out past Nahoon Corner. And if you followed that sand dune, you'd get to Nahoon Reef. Quite like my little dogs here cavorting, and a family taking a stroll. We walked along this beach so many times. And another one of the beach, couple sitting. There was always a bit of a rise as the sand sort of rose up from the shoreline. And always at Bonsai Bay, generally, there would be this bank of clouds out over this far out to sea. So Bonsai Bay also boasts, it's quite a historic little village. It was anyway, now it's become just another suburb. But initially it was a tiny village of about 50 houses when I grew up. And then there was the BBBC, which was the Bonsai Bay Bowling Club. And here I sketched some of what I considered old toppies, playing some bowls. And here's another one of them. So look at this guy, he's just rolled his one off, I think, and there's the rest hovering around the head, I think they called it, around the kitty and waiting to see what the outcome would be. Then, of course, I would always let my imagination run away, and here we have this startled creature looking out at all these dogs and things going mad. And this weird cat-like object, caterwauling cat. And I'm not sure what inspired this drawing. Again, it's humans and animals. Some oak with 2 dogs. This was probably me with it. And somebody up there retrieving, looks like a rooster or something. Bizarre. This is certainly not done from life. I do remember this one. So that's probably me out of the army with a little bit of hair back on my head, rolling a stone for our little dachshund mixed dog that we had. And there's my brother Don, who's been surfing Bonsai Bay for 50 odd years. That's no doubt him. I was looking in great shape here. Not. And another self-portrait with barman, waiter. So this would have been the hobnob, sort of just out of the imagination. I did a real rough and ready technique here, but some of it works quite well. I think I was a bit inspired by the Joe Jackson new wave music groups that came out around 1980. In my dress, you know, and the hairstyle. Then, of course, you just got to let the imagination go run riot again. Weird. Yeah, had quite a bit of fun doing this. Very rare species. As is this, I suppose. Not often seen with this green and orange or red thing on its back. So just a little bit of fun with color, shapes. And this one's actually done from life. That same shell again, but I quite like the colors here and the technique. One of my rare attempts at a sort of commercially saleable still life. So that is that. In amongst these drawing works, I found this page from back still in the army. One of my mates in that bungalow. And then another tiger type Winsor & Newton sketchbook. So here we probably get some more weird and wacky things. think there's a lot of these semi-abstracts in here, so brace yourself. Right, now, so this wasn't from life, this was from my bizarre imagination. Not the prettiest star. Another one, slightly better figure than the previous one. Also not from life, unfortunately. And then a rare self-portrait with beard. So I'd been out of the army several months and I'd not shaved or cut my hair. Didn't actually know where I was going. Looked a bit like a hobo. But anyway, I would eventually join up with the PFP again and start working in their office. But meanwhile, I had time on my hands and I did these from life, from the imagination. Yeah, sort of imaginary, almost a Karoo-like landscape. I think those politicians were still haunting me. This looks like a sort of P.W. Botha on steroids. And there I was, this childlike, innocent young man. Oh. But the arrows of fate were about to be unleashed in various ways. And this has a military feel to it. Just needed a little moustache under that weird nose. But I knew the army were going to catch up with me again. Yeah, it was just a matter of waiting a year or so. So I had to escape back into these imaginary worlds. So here we got an arm that becomes a face where its hand should be. I remember basing this on just a photograph I saw in a book, probably of migrating birds. In fact, several of these drawings were like a National Geographic or something. I think this was a toucan that I just subverted somewhat into this sort of semi-abstract. Somewhere in South America, maybe, this chap. Had a bit of fun here with textures. But it was line that always drew me back. And even though it's not as powerful in the picture, on the camera, it's when you see it in real life, it's actually quite a strong image. Your eye just follows the line and takes it all in. You know, where are we here? This is like a resigned look here. Just gaan maar voort. Hope for the best. And it doesn't even want to be turned over. It was the last one. Yeah. So, I'll have to leave it at that. Until next time, cheers.